I was born in the United States. I was, I'm a legal citizen. I've never been charged with a crime, convicted of a crime, much less put out on parole on a crime.
It is time for you to leave the United States. That's the email that Nicole Maccheroni got from the Department of Homeland Security just last week.
South Bay man says that he got an email from the Department of Homeland Security saying he has to leave the United States, even though he's an American citizen.
Good afternoon. There was no excuse whatsoever, and even if there was any reason, they never shared that reason with me. Up until this point, I still don't know why I was detained for 5 hours, my wife and I.
So this was not widely reported, but another U.S. citizen was detained by ICE outside of a courthouse.
What created confusion is that Anderson, who's a physician and lives in Cromwell, was born in Pennsylvania and is a U.S. citizen.
The police car behind me put the lights on, so I stepped on the side, right, to let him pass through, but it didn't happen. So he just parked in front of my car, the other one parked behind me, and they just got out of the car with the guns in the hands and say, turn off the car, give me the keys, open the window. And at this point, they didn't ask me for any ID. I was telling the officer if I can give him the ID, but he said that just keep my hands up, not moving. After that, he told me to get out of the car, and then he put the handcuffs on me. And then he went to me and said, how did I get into this country? And if I was waiting for court or if I have any case. And he looked at his other partner like, smiling, like saying, can you believe this guy? At this point, I was with handcuffs sitting on the sidewalk. And then he took my ID and saw that it was a real ID. The other guy said, take the handcuffs off, take the handcuffs off. I was Trump supporter. I voted for Trump last elections, but because I thought it was going to be the things, be pointless, like just go against criminals, not every illegal Hispanic looking like that they will assume we are illegals. That's what they're doing now. They're just following Hispanic people looking like, because they didn't ask me for anything.
We have breaking news right now. A United States citizen in Arizona was arrested by ICE officials and detained for 10 days before being released, according to a local PBS affiliate in Arizona. Folks, this is a stunning story, and unfortunately, it continues to happen across the country. A 19-year-old man who was visiting Tucson from Albuquerque said he was lost and walking near the Border Patrol headquarters when an agent arrested him for illegally entering the country. He was not carrying any identification. Now, court documents say that he allegedly admitted to entering the United States illegally, but his family provided birth certificates and social security cards, and he did say he was a U.S. citizen, but ICE officials simply didn't believe him. And they were even worried that he may have been deported to Mexico if they didn't provide the proper documentation like the birth certificate and social security card. He was held in Arizona ICE facilities for 10 days, folks. 10 days before being released. And not enough people are talking about this.
It seems every day the line is being pushed further, and we now have reports of ICE detaining U.S. citizens for hours as they attempt to re-enter the United States. We were told it would just be the criminal illegals, that any U.S. citizen had nothing to worry about, that this was about safety and not about profiling. But this week, a U.S. citizen was detained by Customs and Border Protection after coming back from a weekend trip in Canada, a trip I've done many times as a naturalized American citizen. The individual to whom this happened is essentially no different than me. This is Bakir Atala, real estate attorney from New Hampshire, has lived in the United States for nearly 4 decades, has been a naturalized American citizen for over 10 years. And after crossing the Vermont border with his wife, maybe at the exact same crossing that I've done 30 or so times when coming back from Montreal, he was pulled aside by CBP agents, told to get out of the car. And when he hesitated for clarification, an agent reached for his gun.
He drove my car to Canada for the weekend. And on the way back, I was treated like a criminal.
An unwelcome return home for Bashir Atala and his wife Jessica on Sunday when they say Customs and Border Patrol officers stopped them at the border between Vermont and Canada.
He asked me, exit the vehicle right now, and he reached for his gun. I said, okay, I'm exiting the vehicle. Keep your gun at your waist.
Just hours before, Atala celebrated Palm Sunday with his family. Now he was being arrested.
They handcuffed me. They twisted my arm.
It was like a shock for me.
A real estate attorney, Atala says he's been an American citizen for over 10 years. He immediately started questioning why he was being detained.
Even if you ask questions, they say we don't know, it's the government.
Atala says CBP agents requested to look into his email on his phone, which he denied them access to because of attorney-client privilege.
So I had to, under duress, give him permission to look through my email, through my privileged information, and he made me write a statement signed by me saying that I gave him permission to look through the email.
After several requests, Atala says CBP agents called his sister Celine Atala, who is an immigration attorney.
It started with the immigrants. It's coming to us Americans, and it's going to go after all of us.
Good afternoon. There was no excuse whatsoever, and even if there was any reason, they never shared that reason with me. Up until this point, I still don't know why I was detained for 5 hours, my wife and I.
And Bashir, after you even let them know that you are a United States citizen, was there any information that was provided by those U.S. border agents?
No information whatsoever. All they were saying, they were doing their job, they're doing an investigation. I kept asking, what's the reason why you're detaining me? What's the holdup for? Basically, they took my freedom away from me for 5 hours, a little over 5 hours. No answers. All they're saying is, we're just doing our job, it's the government.
And Bashir, you are an attorney. You do real estate. You also do work with other people. And your sister is an immigration attorney as well. My understanding is border agents access your emails. There was obviously a fear on your part about privileged attorney-client information. Did they give you any type of reason why they would access your emails?
No reason whatsoever. Nothing. They just asked me first for my phone. I provided my phone with the passcode for it. Then I told them, you can have my phone, but two things you cannot look through is my wife's pictures and my work email. And he kept going back and forth. Last time he came in, he says, well, you tell us what specific items you want us not to look through your work email. I told him the whole thing, sir. This is protected under attorney-client privilege. That's work email. It dates back to 2014 or 15. There's like 50 or 60,000 emails. So there isn't anything I can point out. The whole thing is confidential. And at that point, I asked him, how long can you detain me for? He told me as long as the investigation was ongoing. And ironically speaking, a week before my incident, I was actually watching a YouTube video where they detained an American citizen for 23 days thinking that he's not an American and he had a fake passport. So I thought to myself, I don't want to be here for 23 days, especially have my wife with me. I told them, okay, I'm willing to give you the information you need as long as you do it in my presence.
After nearly 5 hours, Atala says he and his wife were released. They are now pursuing legal action.
I really thought things would change after this administration when we had Mr. Trump in office. Things would change to the better. Things actually changed to the worse.
Woke up to an email from the Department of Homeland Security telling him his parole was being terminated and that he needed to leave the country immediately.
So my initial reaction after getting the email was it's spam.
Until he had found an immigration attorney who had received the exact same email.
And I thought, you know what, if she's taking it seriously, I better take it seriously too.
That's when he reached out to Senator Tammy Baldwin's office, who confirmed the email was sent to multiple people linked to the CBP One app, even if they weren't users.
There were some significant threats in the letter about steps that might occur if you didn't self-deport.
In a statement from Senator Baldwin sent to Local 5, she adds, "This is completely illegal. President Trump is trying to deport an American-born, law-abiding citizen and had provided absolutely no justification. The president cannot kick Americans out of the country just because he wants. No one is above the law, including the president." Some of the alarming verbiage in the email sent to France reads as follows: "If you do not depart the United States immediately, you will be subject to potential law enforcement actions that will result in your removal from the United States."
DHS had a number of questions, follow-up type questions for me that were conveyed through the senator's office. I answered those questions and then received word from the senator's office that DHS was very apologetic.
France says his experience is a warning to others.
One lesson that I learned is to treat it seriously. I mean, it could happen to anybody. I think that's a huge takeaway.
It is time for you to leave the United States. That's the email that Nicole Maccheroni got from the Department of Homeland Security just last week. That email went on to say she had to leave within 7 days or, quote, the government will find you. But here's the thing. Maccheroni is a U.S. citizen, born and raised in Massachusetts, and an immigration attorney. Walk us through what happened and what DHS is saying, which is, as I understand it, you have to leave.
It does seem like crazy town. So I got an email from DHS on Friday morning. I am an immigration attorney. It came to my work email. I get emails from DHS. I get emails from ICE, usually about clients. This one was a little bit different because there was no client name on it. There was no case number on it. It was just my information, and they were asking me to leave the United States.
My co-anchor Melissa Masiha sat down with Aldo Martinez Gomez. He helps people with immigration cases. He says last week he received an email from the Department of Homeland Security that said he needs to leave the United States and that his parole will terminate 7 days from the date of notice. Martinez Gomez was born in National City, and he thinks this is an intimidation tactic.
I do get nervous because I don't want to bear error like so many errors that this administration has made, you know. And they have been talking about deporting U.S. citizens, so it is a concern because that means I'm on their radar.
A senior DHS official sent Melissa this statement, which said in part that, quote, notices may have been sent to unintended recipients. CBP is monitoring communications and will address any issues on a case-by-case basis. Martinez Gomez's 7 days just expired. He's still waiting on what to do next.
This is Ramiro Martinez from Michigan. He is originally from Mexico, but has been a U.S. citizen for years through marriage. And this is actually his wife, Laura Sanders. Both of them are immigrant rights activists. Well, they were both at a Michigan courthouse supporting another immigrant without legal status because he had gotten a traffic ticket and he was afraid about going to court. With good reason, because it seems like police officers in Michigan are pulling over drivers who look Mexican, give them a ticket, have them go to court, and then ICE is waiting for them outside of court. So Ramiro was there to have another immigrant's back against ICE, but ICE went after him. He stepped outside the court to check on his dog who was in the car, and multiple ICE agents surrounded him. He tried to tell them they had the wrong guy, but the agents were not listening. They threw him down to the pavement. They handcuffed him. They even pulled out tasers against him. And all this time, he kept trying to tell them that he is a U.S. citizen, but they were laughing, not believing him, until finally they did check his stuff and said, oh, he is a citizen. Proof that these agents are racially profiling. They are grabbing anyone who comes out of that courthouse who looks Latino, and if they happen to violate the rights of a U.S. citizen, oops, keep it moving. The ICE agents did wind up arresting the person that Martinez and Sanders were there with. But apparently the agents were a lot nicer this time because they were being recorded. These ICE agents are racially profiling or punishing anyone who's actually trying to go through the court systems and do things right. Like we said, this was never about going after criminals. This is about racially profiling and going after our community.
Time for you to leave the United States. That's the first sentence Lisa Anderson saw in an email she got from the Department of Homeland Security Friday.
The language seems pretty threatening to whoever it might actually apply to.
She thought it was spam at first, but the email was very real after Anderson had it vetted. What created confusion is that Anderson, who's a physician and lives in Cromwell, was born in Pennsylvania and is a U.S. citizen.
I really have no idea how my email ended up on that list unless someone else was using that as a false email.
She now carries her passport on the advice of attorneys and is looking for representation from an actual immigration attorney worried about legal repercussions, something she never thought she would ever need.
I don't have anything to do with immigration, and I never thought that I would be needed the services of an immigration attorney either, and that's where I find myself.
This comes just days after 2 Boston immigration attorneys got the same email from DHS despite being U.S. citizens themselves. A senior DHS official telling our sister station, NBC Boston, that Customs and Border Protection has been sending these emails to people who do not have lawful status in the U.S., saying, quote, if a non-personal email, such as an American citizen contact, was provided by the alien, notices may have been sent to unintended recipients. CBP is monitoring communications and will address any issues on a case-by-case basis. Anderson is warning anyone who may have gotten the emails to take them seriously and get legal help.
It does make me concerned. There's a lot more people out there like me who probably also thought this was spam, who probably don't realize that they might have a problem.
Other people are now concerned that U.S. citizens are getting detained by ICE. So what do you do in a situation where you are detained and you are a U.S. citizen? How can you prove your citizenship? That's something that I've been getting asked a lot, and here's what I recommend. It's not what all immigration attorneys are recommending, but this is what we have been recommending. If you can apply for a passport card, please do so. Your passport card with you at all times, and that way if you do get detained or stopped by someone, you can show it to them. In the alternative, if you don't have a passport card and you do have a passport, take a picture of the passport on your phone and make photocopies of it. Don't carry the original passport with you. Here's why I recommend not carrying your passport with you, because if you get detained, they take all your belongings and the passport is not with you, and you can't bring that with you to court. Your friends and family need your passport to give to your immigration attorney or the immigration judge. They won't have access to it. So that way, leave it at home so they have access to it. Also, make sure that your passport is not locked up in a safe or in a lockbox at a bank, because your friends and family won't be able to get it when they need it. If you don't have a passport or a passport card in that situation, I would highly recommend, if you are a naturalized citizen, to take a picture of your naturalization certificate. Make sure that your friends and family know where the original is. If you are born in the United States, then make sure you carry a picture of your birth certificate on your phone. Tell your friends and family where the original is.
Deporting American citizens to Central American prisons. Is it legal, or do you need to change the law to do it?
Well, it's another question that the president has raised. It's a legal question that the president is looking into. And he talked about this yesterday when with his meeting with President Bukele in the Oval Office. He would only consider this, if legal, for Americans who are the most violent, egregious, repeat offenders of crime, who nobody in this room wants living in their communities.
Imagine being a U.S. citizen and suddenly finding yourself detained at the border or receiving a notice instructing you to leave your own country or face deportation. This unsettling scenario has become a reality for several Americans due to administrative errors and aggressive immigration enforcement under the Trump administration. The fact that the U.S. citizens are being wrongfully detained and receiving deportation notices is not just a bureaucratic error, it's a glaring warning sign. Your civil liberties are at stake, and it's imperative that you hold your leaders accountable. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe. Your engagement helps us shed light on these critical issues. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and let's stand together for justice and the protection of American rights. Just a quick note, full credit goes to the original creators of these videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.